This week we're going to be looking at the second of 7 aspects of God and who Jesus is. Last week I showed you that Jesus is heir. He is the heir of all things. Hebrews chapter 1 verses 1 through 4. I'm going to read verses 1 through 2 right now, continuing the progression of this. In the past, God spoke to our ancestors through the prophets and at many times in various ways. But in these last days, he has spoken to us by his Son, whom he appointed heir of all things, and through whom also he made the universe. This is important because it's in Jewish tradition that the Jewish laws, were given to the lawmakers and to the prophets by the angels. They had God's message. They spoke to the prophets, and the prophets delivered the message. Now, after Jesus came here and resurrected and ascended back to heaven, God's message is Jesus Christ himself. So we see here the second aspect of God. He is the creator. Jesus is the creator. And for that, we're going to read Genesis chapter 1. Now, it is widely believed that in Jewish tradition that Moses wrote the book of Genesis and it was delivered to him by the angels. So let's see what we got here. I'm going to read you the story of creation. And there's one verse in there that I want to particularly pay attention to at the end. So here we go. Genesis chapter 1. When God began creating the heavens and the earth was a shapeless, chaotic mass. And with the Spirit of God brooding over the dark vapors. Then God said, "Let there be light," and light appeared. And God was pleased with it and divided the light from the darkness. He called the light daytime and the darkness nighttime. Together they formed the first day. And God said, "Let the vapors separate to form the sky above and the oceans below." So God made the sky, dividing the vapor above from the water below. This all happened on the second day. Then God said, "Let the water beneath the sky be gathered into oceans, so that the dry land will emerge." And so it was. Then God named the dry land earth and the water seas, and God was pleased. And he said, "Let the earth burst forth with every sort of grass and seed-bearing plant and fruit trees and seeds inside the fruit, so that these seeds will produce the kinds of plants and fruits they came from." And so it was, and God was pleased. This all occurred on the third day. Then God said, "Let bright lights appear in the sky to give light to the earth and to identify the day and the night. They shall bring about the seasons on the earth and mark the days and the years." And so it was. For God had made 2 huge lights, the sun and the moon, to shine down upon the earth, the larger one, the sun, to preside over the day, and the smaller one, the moon, to preside through the night. He had also made the stars. And God set them in the sky to light the earth, and to preside over the day and night, and to divide the night from the darkness. And God was pleased. This all happened on the fourth day. Then God said, "Let the waters teem with fish and other life, and let the skies be filled with birds of every kind." So God created great sea animals, and every sort of fish, and every kind of bird, and God looked at them with pleasure and blessed them all. "Multiply and stock the oceans," he told them, and to the birds he said, "Let your numbers increase, fill the earth." That ended the 5th day. Then God said, "Let the earth bring forth every kind of animal, cattle and reptiles, and wildlife of every kind." And so it was. God made all sorts of wild animals and cattle and reptiles, and God was pleased with what he had done. Then God said, "Let us make a man, someone like ourselves, to be the master of all life upon the earth and in the skies and in the seas." So God made man like his master. And God blessed them and told them, "Multiply, fill the earth, and subdue it. You are the masters of the fish and the birds and all the animals. And look, I have given you the seed-bearing plants throughout the earth and all the trees for your food. And I've given all the grass and plants to the animals and birds for their food." Then God looked over all he had made, and it was excellent in every way. This ended the 6th day. The verse I want you to concentrate on there is verse 26. Then God said, "Let us make a man, someone like ourselves." When I first read this when I was younger, I was like, well, who was God talking to? Essentially, God was talking to himself. God, Jesus, together as the Holy Spirit, the Trinity, we call it. God was talking to himself. He says, listen, he goes, we need to create something like us. We were created in God's image. Jesus was there for the creation because Jesus left heaven and came down to earth. Just like the verse says, just like it says in the verse, in verse 2 of Hebrews, he appointed heir of all things, and through whom also he created the universe. There's no question that Jesus is God. There's no question that Jesus owns everything. There is no question that Jesus created everything. That's why he owns it. He wants you to acknowledge that. He wants you to see that he is the creator, that he is the one that made all of this, and he made you. And he wants to take care of you. That's all he's looking for. Next week, we're going to be looking at Jesus the Revealer. What does Jesus reveal? Have a great week.